Hello, hello, welcome to the reading today, everybody that is here. Today we're going to do a reading around like sovereignty, I guess it really is. It's around sovereignty, self-empowerment, that kind of thing. I was doing some collective readings yesterday, and it feels like this is something we are struggling with almost as a collective, is the self-governance. And it's an interesting one because we all want to be or say we're empowered by ourselves, right? We own our responsibilities and we make decisions based off what we want. There's sometimes that idea of I do what I want kind of thing. But when you do that, you also have to take responsibility for your choices, the things you may deem as mistakes, ownership for your part in a situation. And it's not to blame, it's actually part of the process of moving forward and moving on. So I was almost going to sit down here and just do a talk and not do any cards, but I do want to do a reading, pick a pile for you so you can get your own individualized message. Because it depends on where you are in your path in this life with regards to sovereignty, with ownership, with self-empowerment, with all that kind of thing. Self-empowerment sounds really pretty, but when we break it down, it's really about taking responsibility. It's about no longer blaming self or others. It's about moving forward. If there's something that needs to come through and be honest and clear about, sure, you can do that. But I guess really it's coming back to where am I giving away my power, especially when it's like I want the government or I want this entity or boss or person to do this. They need to do this to match my expectations. What if they don't do that? What if they don't? Do you break down? What do you do with that? Relying on the external to meet your needs is giving away power. As much as we'd love to have kind, caring parents, what if we don't have that? As much as we want to have a supportive boss to help us, move through the business and up into higher positions, what if they don't do that? This is about taking control and making shifts and changes that align with what you want. How do you get that for yourself? How do you arrange that for yourself? So that's where we're really going. And I just wanted to preface that first before we get into the reading. Okay, so I'm going to grab 3 cards for 3 piles, just the usual. Just going to grab whatever pops out. Okay. Alright, so a bit of shine there. I might move it over here a little bit, just so it's not reflecting too much of the light. These have like a little plasticky coating on them for some reason. So the first card, if you're choosing pile 1, you've got Moldavite with Change, Evolution, and Awakening. This is touching on the Earth element and the Heart chakra. So that's pile 1. For pile number 2, you have the Ruby with Passion, Fortune, and Confidence. This is touching on the element of fire and is the root and heart chakra. Just show you a little bit too. Right, and pile number 3, you have the Black Obsidian with Protection, Healing, and Truth. This is again the Earth element and the root chakra. And I'll just show you a little bit without the light. There we go. So these will be the 3 piles. As always, take your time, jump straight to the reading that calls to you, whichever pile or piles. If you want to watch multiple, go for it. They're all going to be covering sovereignty and self-empowerment as like a very simple kind of explanation, but we're going to really dive into I was going to say the guts, but like the nitty-gritty of it all. Anyway, I'll leave you to pick whichever pile calls to you, and I'll see you in your reading. Hello, welcome to the reading pile 1. So Your card you've chosen is Moldavite with Change, Evolution, Awakening. This is probably going to be quite a big one, I would say, for you, part one. I'll just let you know while I'm listening to this. While I'm reading for you, sorry. I'm also listening to the Schumann resonance, which is 7.83. It's the resonance of the Earth. So it's like I don't know. It's just like I guess the frequency and the vibration ramped up so we can hear it, but of the planet as it spins. And so yeah, this one, change, evolution. Evolution and change is a big one. There could be huge amounts of mindset shifts, choices being made either for you or even just like you making them for yourself, right? Sometimes things get like choices get made for you, and it's not so much like you had control over it. Like if you get the business you work for gets made redundant or something like that, or you get made redundant from a business, let's just say, you don't really have too much choice in that. That's just the facts. You work for a company. If they're going under, you don't really have any control over it unless you want to buy out the company, right? And you have the money for that. But generally, a lot of people won't have that because, imagine if people are getting paid enough to actually be able to afford their own things, then no one would need to work for anyone else, right? Anyway, this is focusing on the earth element and heart chakra. I love that because I was already playing the resonance before I even picked any cards. So it's just very cool. When to use this is setting intention, visualizing goals, and engaging in manifestation practices. So it's really about taking in command of like what you want. If you don't have what you want, there's no point sitting there and blaming others or yourself or anyone. Blame is really not going to get you anywhere in this world. It's just not. But we've got a few cards here, so I'm going to start flipping some cards and seeing what message is coming through for you. Okay. Interesting decks coming through as well. Like, I'm always going to use my one until the campaign's finished on Kickstarter with this deck. Check in the details below if you want to check that out. But these other ones are quite... this one I haven't actually used in a long time. This is the healing reading cards or something like that. And this one is the Prophet, the Khalil Gibran. And this one made a lot of sense because this is the Tower deck. Unfortunately, it's the size of an Oracle deck. But it's really, really, really nice because it touches on animals and things that are really reliant on the earth and the weather and the changes and the elements, right? And also us, because we have such a huge impact on our environment. So I thought the Guardians of the Night would be really nice as well. It says here, open your heart unto the body of life. This is death. Perfect card, really, because if you've never read The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, if you have like an Audible subscription, or I think at the moment I'm on like $1 a month for 3 months, which isn't too bad, right? Because there's a whole lot of free audiobooks on there. I've listened to one and I finished one yesterday and it was terrible, but it was fine. But you can also listen to like some of the older stuff, the classics that a lot of people have put out there, like the Picture of Dorian Gray or something like that. And anyway, Khalil Gibran has The Prophet on there. I really recommend, I can't remember his name, I think he might be a rapper or something in the UK, but his name's Riz something. Anyway, he does a really good reading of this. Don't know him, not really promoting him, don't know his music, just liked his the audiobook that I listened to. I've actually listened to it a few times. Anyway, the book is broken into separate chapters, and this one's on death, and it's pretty much a prophet comes to a village, let's say, and there's different people. One's like a mother, right? One's like a judge, one's like a lawyer, one's like this, that, and the other. And they all ask, what of this? Things that's important to their heart. What about relationship? What about love? What about family? What about law? What about this, that, and the other? And this one's like, what about death? And so he talks about this, and the prophet shares his wisdom. And it says here, open your heart unto the body of life. This is really getting into the realness, I would say, of life. Not just like, how some people think like, I'm real because I'm this, that, or the other. If that's you, then that's real. It's not because of what you produce, it's because you are living authentically through yourself. And so this is really where this reading's coming from. It's coming from the heart, not so much from the attitude or the brain or from, anything like that. This is about you being authentically you in this present moment, in this body, and on this planet. Okay, I wasn't going to go too deep into it, but I can't really help it. I think I say that every single time and I just go deep. Like I start reading too quickly. But look, if you've listened to me a few times, excuse me, you know that that's just how it is. Okay, we also have focus on higher truths. This is so good. We love, as humans, focusing on not so much lower truths, but like we focus on the, how would you put it? We get distracted by small things. Sometimes they're not small. Sometimes it's like a war going on in the world, right? And so we'll focus in on that and see what's happening there and get distracted. But what's happening here? Why are we looking over here? I even looked up some stuff that I thought, what has this company done in the past? Because it's like there's companies out there that are super silent, right? They might be like big gas companies, war profiteer companies, things like that. And it's like, what's happening with them? And then you look at it and there'll be very obscure kind of like small news outlets. I can only use Australian. It's like the ABC outlet, which is not owned by the government or owned by any kind of corporation exactly. It's more free. And they were the only one that reported on this kind of like, I guess you would call it espionage, or kind of like I don't know, situation in the Middle East with like a weapons company. And the weapons company got fined $950 billion, which is an absurd amount. Did it change their shares and anything like that? Not at all. Nothing changed. Nothing even dipped down a little bit. I think it might have dipped down slightly and it's back up and it's higher than it was before. And could you imagine if a company lost even a quarter of that or even 1% of that? Like they would shut down or they would be ruined. But you could see on other news outlets, they didn't even report on it. So I guess it's like, do your research, look into things, really sit with something and see if it actually does resonate with you. Just because you might be, well, that's what I believe in, so that must be true, from someone else saying it. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't listen to people that are trying to tell you the same thing. This is about getting into your own, taking ownership of your own consumption of information out there. So focusing on higher truth. Sometimes this might even be just getting into like a more spiritual sense as well. Taking a step out of the earthly drama and into what is actually important in this moment right now for me, my family, for my life. Because there's big changes coming. Some you'll have control over, whether you take the step or the plunge into the unknown, and some you have no control over. That's our life, right? We have no control over whether someone's going to live or die. But that happens. We lose people from the existence, or they're out of their body. And so we have to kind of process and deal with that, right? In whatever way it is and however long it takes. And it's not about time. It's really about ownership of dealing with change. And it can also be like the job, right? You grieve the job that you have been fired from, and sometimes you can see more doors open that you weren't even looking at before, and it's like, oh, this is something that I didn't even know I could do. So never really see the events as good or bad. They're just opportunities. Think about what they're trying to, what that means. What does that offer? As well as what do I have to look after and prepare and take care of myself for, right? Because panicking and stressing about it hopefully will motivate you to do something, but it's not a good energy to sit in. But ultimately, just like when people get delayed at airports for days and days, they're eventually going to get home. They're not going to be stuck in purgatory, let's say, forever, right? Or the airport. You also have simulate life experiences. Yeah, this change for you, Pile 1, you picked this card, and I think this was like more of the challenging Pile 2 pick. Not that the other ones will be easier or there's really an easier or hard, right? It's not like I'm going to choose the hard one. It's not quite like that. Just putting on some lip balms. Really, I don't know, it's really weird weather here today. It's going to be super hot next few days. Assimilating life experience isn't about judging what's happened in the past. It's starting to either clear some old shit out or to integrate some learnings that you've been through. Because everything we go through, whether it's easy, hard, deemed by us or deemed by others, it doesn't really matter about the label, the branding of it. What do you take from it? What do you learn from it? And how do you move forward with that truth, right? With that information. So yeah, really interesting card too, because we live all different walks of lives. How can you also learn from others, especially when I mean, something that keeps popping up in my head is when I used to live at, when I first moved out of home, I lived on campus at a university, and then the next following year I went and lived with a whole bunch of people. There was like 7 of us in a house, and it was, we're all young and ridiculous, really. But it was hectic. But the neighbors, the reason why I'm getting to this is the neighbors next door, you could see, didn't like this one person who was living with them. It looked like they weren't paying by the sounds of it, and all their stuff was just out on the road, and then their parents came around and collected their stuff. But you learn from that, right? You see, like, this is the reality. These people had to probably make a hard decision, but if someone's living with you and you're not paying and you're already like struggling, right, then you can't live there. Like, if you don't pay, you can't really just be expected to live in a place like that, or you don't do something or whatever, you don't communicate struggles or something like that, right? So for me, even though I wasn't involved in it, it was good learning to show like communication is very important here. I don't think these people left it to be like that bad. And in the end, it had to get that bad to show that they can't just freeload live there, especially when it's like probably not family, it's probably just random people, right? Not that I knew the exact situation, of course, but it's just like learning. Communication, very important. Being honest and clear with yourself. This is about truths, right? Focus on higher truths, but also truths. What is the truth of the matter? Do I need to go deep into the underworld of this particular topic when I know that whatever is happening here is going to come right, or to get to a point where I can start making decisions for myself, whatever this is? I'm speaking very like, I mean, it says higher truth, right? So it's not about the nitty gritty. It's really about like keeping your head above water, basically. Okay. But it looks like big transformation stuff happening in the world. Do you get caught up in it? No, stay honest and true with yourself and in your power. I feel like we're going through, as a collective, a change of reliance on companies, reliance on boss, reliance on government, reliance on this, that, and the other. And we can kind of see that in the world, right? Certain governments are like kind of not really falling, but people are just kind of like, leaders are just like resigning or leaving or like constantly changing. When we look at like the Western world, right? And then we look at some of the other places where it's like governed by a particular person that's definitely not going to move unless they get removed, right? It's kind of like they don't really have the power that it's kind of the system was supposed to provide. It's because they've relied on the system above their own intelligence. And now that's just being kind of like shat on, basically. Like you can just see that there's like, picking a new government or getting a new prime minister or anything like that, and it's just not really happening. It's just almost like a joke, which is one, a waste of money. If people are just going to be staying in power, you may as well just stick to like countries where they don't have elections, right? It's just like let's not like lie about it. Let's just like bypass it. You're in power. But do you want to give them their power? Do they want to give that power? Maybe just start questioning those types of things within yourself as well, with whatever situation you've got. I mean, I'm talking about governments and stuff. That's probably not something we can have full control over, right? It's just like happens, but we can always process the information or deal with like decisions and that kind of stuff in our own way does that align with my truth? And is that the right thing to do? If something came in where we could be horrible to a minority group or something, do I implement that into my life? No, and then what's going to happen? You're going to resonate at a resonance that doesn't align with a shitty law. And so you're going to attract the people that are going to be like-minded because you're focusing on, well, I'm not going to just go with what they think is right. I'm going to go with this. And the more and more people, like if there was some, I don't know, let's just say, for example, in a government, there was something where you paid like 90% of your money and it didn't go into anything helpful. There was no healthcare, no anything like that. But 90% of it, eventually if people just stop paying, like as a collective, we're so much more than just these small groups of people just because they may have this, that, or the other. They're not going to clear us all out, right? Because otherwise, who's going to sustain them being in the top positions? Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be like, I don't know, a vigilante, but like that's kind of how it's coming through with this reading. So first of all, we go all the way back. We like rewind it all, regardless of what's happening on the outside, to our inner world. And if we can maintain sovereignty over that, no matter what happens in the outer world, we'll have power because we haven't given it away or, said that they have to deal with that because I can't deal with it or I'm too small or this or that or the other. You're not little. You're not minimized. You have the power of the creator within you. Okay, that one flipped over. We've got the Guardian, which is interesting because it's just kind of like what I was saying, right? Guardians, we see Guardians as something that protects us so that we don't have to. And it's got the empty cup here. This one has an interesting story, but I don't think the story really is part of this reading. If it is, I'll talk to it. But it's got here nature, discontent, and neglect. So it's like, if we're relying on this government, this kind of thing, this blah, 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 to help us, and they're not helping us, how can I communicate with the people that are going through the same thing? Sometimes it's like, I don't know, let's say a specific disease that my child has, and all these other parents have the same thing and we're all relying on the government. How do we help each other? How do we communicate and build a community where we can support each other? Because if we're not going to be supported by this area, yeah, we want to put that, we want to be heard and put all that stuff out there, but also we can, siphon some of that energy that we're focusing on why aren't they doing their job to like, how do we provide for ourselves and look after each other, right? So we become a community. So it's kind of like degrades the politician or the government or whatever it is, because they're not doing what we feel we need. So we're going to do it for ourselves, and I don't know, find certain ways where we can fund it and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it feels more community based in that sense. Which is kind of interesting because the story of this is like he's half human, half tree guardian type thing. Like he kind of lives like a half life, half not. Like the senses kind of shift and change. There's certain senses that rise, but other senses lower, like our feel, touch, sight, all that kind of thing. And so he goes on a long kind of journey of this and becomes content with it, but realizes he's not actually content. He's just bought into like, this is my life. So there's nothing better than this. I can't change this. And that's become the norm. And when he starts to actually look deep into it, he realizes that his well of desires, hopes, dreams is completely dried up because he's let it. So now it's like, this is the turning point of going from, well, I can't do this because I don't have this degree, or I can't do this because I'm, I don't know, this gender or that thing, whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, this is about empowerment. Told you you're going to get the big reading, I guess, with the Moldavite coming through. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, you've got a lot going on. Well, you will do. You've got Baba Yaga coming through as Varog. Baba Yaga is kind of a wild card in a way. If I've actually not really worked with her, but I kind of had like, you could say a meeting just to see, and I was like, oh, this is probably not someone I want to like work with exactly. Not necessarily negative, definitely not negative, but in folklore and stuff like that, especially, around, I don't know, Russia, kind of like, what do you call it, Slavic area, Baltic area, that kind of like region. Um, sometimes has like eating children, right, as like one of them, and then another side of support. So it depends how you see it. This card specifically talks about distort. So how do I read that into your reading? Distort is when information is being shaken up or distorted into something that it's not actually meant to be. So it's kind of like if I say hello to someone, and someone distorts it, they could turn that into a sarcastic hello. They could make it mean that I was trying to say that they look ugly, right? And it's like, how do you get that from hello? Read the news. Like, you know what I mean? Look at all that kind of distorted stuff. Look at the stuff that people pop on shorts and say is facts. And then you look it up and it's completely a lie. You can see that with influencers who are trying to sell you some kind of product. It's like, yeah, some of the products might be fine, some of it might be complete bullshit. So that's what this is about taking ownership and taking truth into your own hands and finding it, right? Even if you have like a very clear belief and the people around you are telling you, yeah, this is the truth, and you had already believed that, why not look into it if you have any questions? Trust your intuition. Your intuition will be telling you yay or nay in some ways. I don't really get too much about ancestors, but that's where the misunderstanding or misunderstood and distort comes through. Ancestors, how do I see that? I mean, I'm not trying to make all these like little words fit into it, but the past or like where we've come from can really paint a picture for how we respond to certain things, right? If we're told you have to stand up straight or you get caned, then you're probably going to stand up straight no matter what in any situation. If someone says, oh, why are you slouched over? You might quickly snap up out of like fear or out of like an old wound, right? Where you used to get caned and this person might have just been asking nicely, that it might have been completely innocent. They weren't going to hit you. That was just a question. Do you know what I mean? So where a lot of our excuse me, where a lot of our triggers come from is going to maybe come through for you today, part one, and you might be looking at those, and it's okay. Just look at them with an open mind, open heart. Don't let it get twisted into something it doesn't need to as well. It's just an opportunity to grow, learn, change, transform. Okay, well, that is all the oracle cards. I guess I'm going to stop trying to pigeonhole it in a way of like, oh, so if I'm doing this, it has to be, I have to get all the oracle cards out before I do the tarot and not read it before, whatever. I think I'll just let it flow as I have been. I think I've been trying to channel it into, well, I should wait until all the cards are out. If I don't feel like that though, then why not just keep going? Just let the mouth talk. Okay. So we've got the Nine of Swords. This is fear of the future, especially. This is anxiety and stress of the future and unknown future, because she's kind of like, I think she's worried about herself as a mother polar bear, because the ice caps are melting, right? And this is a real reality for polar bears, because now there's more water, which means they exert more energy swimming. They're not the best kind of like hunters in the water. It's it's kind of sad and pretty grim kind of future for them. However, you can see the little polar bear here, the cub, and he's just chilling, or she, whatever. The little cub is just chilling. Because whatever happens, we don't always have control over. It's kind of like worrying that the world is going to get blown up in a nuclear war or something like that. That's possible, right? It's not impossible. But focusing and worrying about it, what help and health is that bringing? Unless you're part of a group that can put in legislation to stop, I don't know, certain things, or like dismantling them, whatever. Like, is it part of your reality that you have control over? It's like worrying about a volcano, then again, exploding. What do? You kind of like don't live near the volcano that looks like it's going to explode, right? Or if you can move or whatever, like have some kind of plan, but that's okay. Once you've got the plan in place, you don't want to like worry and stress about it. It's like once you've got the alarm system in your house, then you don't have to worry and stress about it. Even if you don't have an alarm, right? You can, like, you might live in an area where there's very low crime or something like that. So it's, you know what I mean? It's just like, do we need to worry about this thing right now is basically where this one's coming through. And I like the after tarot because, and they have like a before normal tarot, like before tarot, normal tarot, after tarot. And in the after tarot, the guy gets out of bed, grabs a sword from the walls, and starts slaying his demons. Like he starts to. It's not the best imagery in my mind of like fighting your demons or fighting the things that challenge you, but it's really starting to go, I'm not going to let you control my decision making or my mindset or anything like that. I want to understand you, where you come from. Did it come from past pains, like, you know, watching people go through challenging things as a child, parents, that kind of thing? Is it my own wounding? You know, where does it come from? And looking into that, and it's like you start to have a relationship with your shadows or the difficult things that cause pain in life, right? Instead of letting them just run amok. Okay. You have the Ace of Cups. Love that for you. This is filling the damn cup. This is filling the empty cup with new emotional. I don't know. I would say it's emotional. It's like new emotional things. Can't think of the word, so I'm just going to say things. New experiences is what I was trying to say. New experiences, new paths, even. I would just say new experiences. And that could be, you got the little lunar moth too, which is like transformation through light. And this is seeing the benefits in some of the challenging changes, seeing the benefits in anything that comes along. Even if someone really horrible, let's say, takes over a government, like, I don't know, like, you know how, I don't know, like, let's say someone that's like Genghis Khan kind of like comes in, takes over. You know, even if something like that occurs, I can't remember where my train of thought. I think Genghis Khan kind of threw me because I don't know why I'm picking up that energy or like that name, right? But it's just like where we feel like we're completely out of power, and this whoever's coming in is going to ruin everything, right? In a positive note, it might expose exactly what that kind of person is. It might be an opportunity now that they're in the spotlight. They can't hide behind the scenes. And so if they are horrible, it's going to come out. Just because they're in a high position doesn't mean that they can hide everything. You can't hide everything. People start disappearing, right? Like with the Holocaust, and Genghis Khan going around murdering lots of people, having lots of children with people probably unconsensually, right? It's like all that stuff will be exposed and seen in time. So, you know, some stuff, just let it play out. Let it play out, watch it come through, and highlight where things are being hidden. Or look, if they're trying to say, look over here, look over there, and see what's actually being hidden. I feel like we're all gonna be tested in what's real. You've got the Lover's card too, really nice. Again, that lunar moth coming out, right? Now it's here. And we've got the Asclepius's rod, the little sign of healing and growth. The Lover's card traditionally, I like this energy of it because it feels like decisions that sometimes might be tough and that we might not know will lead to the right thing, but we believe and trust in ourselves to make those decisions. Traditionally in tarot, the like real traditional, I'm not talking about Rider-Waite-Smith, I'm talking about like original, or going back further. There is a man who has a woman on one side and another woman on the other side, one who is wealthy and has like prominence, and so if he marries her, there's benefits for her family and his family, right? It's kind of like almost like those old school arranged marriages type thing in high society. Go here, marry the king, then it'll be affluent for your family. You have blah blah blah. And then on the other side, it's like the woman he actually is attracted to, he loves, he wants to be with. And so there's like this like decision that needs to be made. And obviously the Lovers card talks about going for what you really want and focusing in on what's really important in your life. That is a big way of getting into self-sovereignty, is focusing on what you want instead of trying to avoid what you don't. Because you're going to attract what you're trying to avoid, and then you're going to feel like you're succeeding because you're avoiding a whole bunch of shitty things, but that's because you're attracting the shitty thing. Focus on the thing that you are looking forward to or want to like experience in this life. This was talking about manifestation. So, what you resonate with is what you attract. So stop focusing on bullshit. You'll stop attracting it. It's that simple. Ooh, the Two of Cups. Look at this, the Ace of Cups, the Lover's card, and the Two of Cups. Now, this reading didn't really touch on anything so much about love, but I feel like, again, this could even be touching into relationships and connections. If you're like going on dates, right, with like focusing on what you don't want. If you've had like problematic people in the past who were, let's say, it's easy to use narcissistic now because everyone throws it around like if someone doesn't like what I like, then they're narcissists, right? Which is a whole lot of bullshit, but people are stupid anyway. So anyway, if you focus in on like the narcissist that you've had in the past and you don't want to re-experience that again, like it's good to be open to looking out for red flags, but you've already been through the process. You're already going to sense it. You're already going to see it when they come through. They start being horrible to the waiter staff, right? Or the waitress or whoever. That's a clear sign. You don't have to like be focusing in on that. I need to make sure that they're good to this. I need to make sure that they're good with this. Otherwise they're a red flag. Otherwise they're a red flag. Focusing on the red flags. What the fuck are the green flags for you? What is the like comfort and care? Did they open the door? Do you like that? Some people don't like it, right? Whatever. But even if you don't like people opening up the door for you on a first date, it's kind of like a nice gesture anyway. So if you're like, oh, they're doing this, so that means they are, chauvinists or something like that, they might just be nervous and wanting to, provide something. Like see things as in a very global way instead of just the negative that it could mean, right? Focus on the positive as well. They might be just trying to be polite. They might, have been told like that's a nice thing to do for someone. You don't really know. So kind of not see things with just rose-tinted glasses, but also with dark-ass shades, right? See things very openly when you look at things from a higher perspective when you're dealing with something, or like if a government comes through with like a silly, I don't know why government keeps coming up. I'm really not into politics, but like it just keeps popping up. If a government decides to make some crazy ass change that everyone gets stirred up about, and it's like they're looking at a minority group. Usually they use minority groups, or I've seen kind of like the minority kind of group thing as a good way of deflecting from whatever the fuck they're doing over here. So just be mindful of that. I don't know why I'm swearing so much today, but I'm not monetized anyway, so I can say whatever I want. Okay. Ooh, big changes are coming. You've got the Eight of Wands. This is a good time to get on track with life, basically. Certain things that will be changing are going to change. You're going to have a huge amount of say in which way you go as well. So when you get like to the Lover's card kind of point and you want to work on something and do something, but you're fearful of like obligations or like, I have to stay here. I've seen that so many times when people are like, well, I can't leave this area because this person's unwell and I have to look after them. I have no choice. I mean, to be fair, you can just leave. Is that the right thing that you want to do? Yes or no? But for holding on to like, I have no choice, I have no choice, I have no choice is not helping. You have a decision whether you stay with a particular person or not. You do. You have a choice. I'm not saying it's easy and you can just like jump up and leave immediately, but you can go through the process of, disintegrating that, is that the right word? Or leaving that. Because regardless, more changes are coming for you, Par 1, where you have a lot of choice whether you stay or go, or leave a situation, work related or anything like that, contracts, being broken, that's okay. Like if the contract is shit, why not break it if you have the opportunity to get out? It's gonna cause some stress and anxiety though. I can't stop that. Like, not that I am here to help or like not help, but like change the future for you, right? Or tell you the future. Those kind of readings to me are starting to like fade out because we aren't relying on fate anymore to make decisions for us. We're actually, as a race or as a human race, I'm saying not race, whatever. I'm talking about human race, is we're starting to take back our power. And so when we do that, future predictions on things and like definites and stuff like that are only the guidance of where we're going at that moment, but we can shift and change a lot. Whereas I feel like maybe like 100 years ago, that wasn't a thing. We were just doing what we were told type situation. And there were pockets of people that would pop up with amazing new ideas and new ways of thinking, feeling, and philosophy, right? Whereas now we're all the philosophers and inventors and decision makers. No matter how much even science tries to minimize it. What a fun reading. Nice, 10 of Cups. This is a really pretty kind of like layout, right? We go down into nitty gritty. You are shifting towards a better future for yourself. So focusing in on the future now though, of what that could look like and what if it doesn't happen, isn't going to help. What do you do now to fulfill yourself? How do you take back your power in regards to your life, your future, your health? Even with the Lover's card, kind of feels like health. How do you fill your cup? How do you avoid the bullshit that's out there? It's to disconnect from it, really, and connect when you need to. I don't need to see the news a lot. I can see 5 minutes of the news and I already know what's going on. If I watch an hour of the news, it's the same shit rolling over and over again, and then I get into a state of like, this is the world. It's just these 3 things that are on the news, which is always shitty and negative, really. There's very rarely something positive on the news. Although I do read one news place and it's got like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like positive stuff basically, but it's kind of like something to chill out to kind of news. And it's like nice stuff, right? It's like inventions that are helping clear out some of the plastic in the ocean, or it's some bacteria that eats, plastic, that kind of stuff. Like it's positive stuff, or like an animal that got left behind and this family resuscitated and recover it, and it's now available to be adopted, right? And so it's like there's still these like beautiful people that are out there, and so when we see all the shitty stuff, we think that everyone is trash basically, or the human race is trash, and we go down that kind of track and it's really unhelpful, untrue, and it enslaves you to give up in a way, and you become part of the drama again, I guess is the best way I can put it. However, I'm going to leave that there. This was a lot in your reading pile, number 1. Ultimately, this is evolution, right? Change, transformation is occurring, so you can see yourself as being a creator within it, or as a victim within it, and that's a choice that's up to you. But yeah, you do you, baby. You do you, baby. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today. Pile number 1, I know it was a bit of a heavy one, but look at the benefits of it. Community, the diversity, and, honesty and truth coming through. So it's really nice fulfillment and dreams coming true. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Take care, pile 1. See you in the next reading. Hello, welcome to reading pile number 2. So for your sovereignty, ownership, kind of like empowerment reading, you've chosen Ruby, which is one I haven't actually picked from this. Now I get why the song was popping up in my head. I just realized passion, fortune. One. Okay, I'll start again. One I haven't actually picked out of this deck before, especially in a YouTube reading. But even I don't even think it's come out in other kind of readings that I've done outside of YouTube. But anyway, it's got passion, fortune, confidence, and it's the fire element with the chakras of earth and heart. Sorry, not earth, root and heart. So base chakra is sometimes called the root chakra. But the song that was coming through in my head was "It's My Life." Do you know that song? It's my life, it's now or never. Yeah, anyway. And now I was like, oh, passion, fire. Yeah, this is, oh, girl, go get it. Let's grab some cards. I'm excited about this one. Rubies are really interesting too, right? Because they're not so much seen as very expensive or like whatever now. Now it's diamonds and I don't know, whatever else. I don't know. I don't really follow up with like luxury jewelry type stuff. I love crystals and some of them have more energy in my mind than a diamond. Like a diamond's very hard, so that's cool. But yeah, like I feel like you can almost get this similar energy, or it has almost like less energy in my mind than like a quartz crystal. So powerful, right? Energy wise. But the reason why I was bringing up the ruby, I kind of got off track, is like it's one of those like old school crystals, like emeralds, you know, those kind of things in adorning regal old. When I say old school, I mean like when there's like monarchies were more popular, right? Wedding dresses and tiaras and that kind of thing. It feels very regal. Whereas for some reason in my mind, look, I'm not dumping on diamonds, but in my mind now, diamonds just, I don't know, they just it seems more commercial and modern rather than the sparkling beauty of like a gorgeous emerald or like a beautiful diamond. So there's something regal and old-fashioned about this energy. And even that, is it Bon Jovi song that I was singing, It's My Life? Anyway, I can't remember who sings it, but it probably is, I don't know. Like that's not really old, but it is kind of like now an older song, right? It's definitely an older song. So there's something about the past or maybe old-fashioned that needs to come back into your life or be brought back in. Maybe this is the only time I'll say that. You know how some people are like, oh, back in the good old days type thing. I never think that the old days was always good. Some stuff was like we have good memories about, but like, you know, we've hopefully progressed in a positive direction on a lot of laws and things like that. You know, go back further, there's no gay marriage, and go back even further, women aren't able to vote. Like when's the good? Like, and then when we're like, you know, World War II and stuff like that. Like, where's the good? How far are we going back? Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Oh, look at that. Looks like, reminds me of Sagittarius, right? With another fire sign, even though this isn't Sagittarius, but it just reminds me of like, he's using these people as like a bow and arrow or something like that. Which touches on focus as well, focus and determination. Sagittarius, I think, touches on philosophy too, our own belief system. So there might be something that you need to tap back into that was already part of you in the past and it just needs to come back. It's like, you know, when I was talking about the good old days not always being good, but there are nuggets of good points. There was like different things that were positive in a way, right? So bringing that back in, maybe that's like in a family that don't really talk to each other because everyone's on the phone. If you've ever watched the newer Modern Family or the ones that are like that were last kind of made, they're all on their phones on the show, right? And that's just true to how society shifted and changed. So maybe making a point of like, okay, on this particular night, we're not going to use our phone for 2 hours or something as a family. We're going to do this, that, or the other. It's not like it's going to break people's lives, even though some people might make a big drama about it, right? But it's just like, tell them the reason and the purpose for it. Completely disconnected. No longer chat about these things. We're going to, you know, while it does become kind of like a dictatorship in a way of like choices, but it's just like, well, unless you can put it down and not look at it the whole time, maybe it's good to have a break from certain things. It's like if for example, if I played video games nonstop, right? It's something I want to do, but I also need to like cook, clean, go outside. You know, there's a variety of things out there besides just this one thing. Anyway, this one says, like the ocean is your God self, it remains forever undefiled, crime and punishment. Interesting enough with that sentence, like the ocean is your God self, it remains forever undefiled. It's really interesting because this idea of God self is kind of, this one's old because he was created this in like either the 1800s or early 1900s. And then when I'm trying to think about it, we have only just started to rehash that back up where people are, you know, with religion, it's kind of seen as like the power of everything is outside of you and you worship that thing that's outside of you. If that's shifted and changed, that's in the very newer stuff, not so much in the old school stuff, right? It's like the church will deal with everything, look after you, will do this, that, and the other. You just tithe, pretty much pay them, or just you know, spread the word and get more following the same thing. But this is like, it remains forever undefiled. Even things that you feel like have happened to you or done to you, it can't defile your soul, if that makes sense. You're not lesser than because of whatever happened or the person that did this thing to you. They don't take the power away from you unless you allow it to be taken. So that's a whole lot of like stuff to work through, right? But this is the truth of the matter. It's just like, instead of like trying to nitpick this exactly, think about it exactly what it says. Like the ocean is your God self, it remains forever undefiled. Just see it as that. Kind of interesting now with like plastics being in the ocean, but like, you know, take it for what it says. Okay. It's really about just re-empowering yourself and claiming that truth of the matter of whatever happened to you in the past or has been done to you as like fact, right? That's what's happened, but you no longer need to have that as your decider or decision maker in the future. You're going to take that as empowerment to power yourself up and yeah, live your life, basically. So you've got contemplate death and beyond. Odd card to come out. And listen to your guardian angel. Interesting. This feels very philosophical. You might be going through Dark Night of the Soul type energy, or you know, if you're not going through that, that's positive, right? It's good. But like contemplating death and beyond is not so much about fearing death. It's just like, am I focused so heavily on in this life and something's happened in it that I can't feel like I'm worthy of my God self? Am I no longer worthy of this, that, or the other? Because that's where I can see the contemplating death and beyond is more of a question of am I doing things right now that really honor my truth in this life? How do I get back to me, basically, without, you know, passing? Like, you don't have to wait until you die to reconnect with yourself. You can do this while you're in this life. You might want to tap into your guardian angel too. Your angel guides, if you follow any of that. If you don't believe in any of that, absolutely fine. Maybe ancestors, maybe psychiatrists, maybe like whatever. Whoever you need to speak to get back to being your true self and not something that's a byproduct of a particular event that's occurred in your life. Because ultimately this is about, you know, direction, passion, and living with purpose in life. It's rebuilding that foundation and healing that heart. That's why you got the heart and the root chakra. It's like building from the ground up, restarting yourself in a way, in a not full sense, but in a partial way, and living from truth in the heart space by healing it. Heal yourself. Yeah, this is an interesting imagery, right? Because in the reflection, he can kind of see himself, and he's noticing that these people, his parents, aren't actually behind him. They've been monitoring and watching him. So this is the overseer in the mirror, and it says monitored, controlled, and boundaries, right? Where am I being controlled? Where's my power being taken away or given away? And it's not really taken. Sometimes it can be if it's something's occurred when we're a child, but we decide as we go forward in life whether we give that event or that person or that thing power over us now, right? That occurred in the past, and we have to agree that that was like something that happened. You can process whatever you need to heal that in whatever way, but ultimately we want to get to a point of remaining sovereign and having power back within ourselves and not letting that event dictate our future. So this is kind of like seeing it. It's better to see the falsities that are happening in the world, let's say, or the the horrible things that's happening in this, that, or the other, so that we know, so that we can shine a light on it, right? It's better than staying hidden. And I feel like that's going to keep happening. And so for you individually, though, Paltu, it might be popping up. You might be getting triggered by things, and it's not like to hurt you. Your body's not, or like your soul's not trying to like piss you off, right? It's just like, you need to look at this now. It's a good time to look at this. This is a healthy time to look at this. And so just stop and maybe look at it if you have time or want to. And if you don't want to, just ask yourself, is that the right decision for me now? And maybe it perfectly is, absolutely fine. And if it's like, no, because it's like the thing or the trigger is dictating too much of my reality, then that might be a good time to look into it, right? Then you can have like a more informed, an emotional kind of reaction to it now, where you can make a better choice around this situation. Because it's like, if I keep getting hit in the head by a ball because I stand in one spot and it just keeps happening and happening, and I could fear like, well, if I move, what if something else happens? What if I move and a plane drops on me, right? And it's like, let's look around. Okay, there's a machine that's firing a ball in this one direction, no other machines. So maybe I just stand over here and then I stop getting hit in the head, right? It's kind of like that. So do you want to keep getting in the head because of fear of like change, or do you look around and realize there's nothing really to fear? I just need to make a decision whether I want to keep getting in the head or not. Speaking of hit in the head, it's just funny because he's touching his head. You've got the mentalist, the destiny not knowing, strong intuition and destiny. Yeah, you are on an interesting path. I don't know exactly what this is for you individually, but the mentalist is like someone who is able to adapt and change and evolve. So if you're like, oh, that's definitely not me, well, that is actually you. You've been able to deal with whatever you've dealt with in the past and still be here, and now you're going through another transformation. So something that you might, I don't know, if you know your human design, you might have a 2 in your profile number, like a 2, 4, 2, 6, something like that. The 2s are generally people, and it's including myself as well. It's classed as the hermit, but it's like a sign that generally doesn't always see their own brilliance or amazement, like their own gifts. They have to be called out. And so when you get called out for being like, oh, you're actually really good at this, or like, you're amazing at this, and you'll be like, it's just easy, right? It's just natural. There might be something there. Look into that. What is that actually trying to show you? Like, what is this particular topic or thing that I'm good at really mean for me, right? It might be something that actually helps empower you as well. Because that's like what a mentalist is in a way. The King of Pentacles. I'm going to say with the King of Pentacles, you have everything you need with you right now to be able to create what you want. The King of Pentacles can be someone else, like a provider of some sort, right? You know how there might be traditional families, let's go 1950s, the wife stays home, cooks, cleans, looks after the children, right? That's a huge provider in that sense. And then the male, or the man, the father, might be going out and working 9 to 5 and providing the money to support this. And this person, the wife, is doing what they need to support, and everyone's supporting each other, right? So it's like a very old-fashioned kind of basic way, and that's not our reality now, but it just shows that, you know, that there's, what was I trying to say? That you have everything you need within yourself and also in your surroundings, maybe. Maybe not everything, but you do have enough to be able to start making steps towards what's going to bring your dreams into reality. Because the King of Pentacles isn't bothered by anything. He's kind of like, if I look at Game of Thrones, kind of like the Tyrells, right? And everyone knows Olenna Tyrell, kind of a wild lady. But they were like the farmers, right? They were like the providers. They weren't the warriors. They were the providers that had the grain, that had like, that's like what the King of Pentacles is. It's like that has everything they need. Doesn't mean they have like everything. It's just like everything they need to be able to trade, support, and provide for themselves, their people, that kind of thing. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, this is great. This is a great time for you, pal, too. This is positive. It's firing back up with that start of the reading, like that ruby passion. Getting that past out that needs to be ousted, right? And reconnect with the inner you, the real, the true you. Your real guides. Like, see, it's like unveiling. You're opening up the veil and connecting with yourself. I've got the Five of Swords. I kind of like this in a way. I mean, it's a really sad imagery because it's just reminding me of like deforestation, right? And there's still the animals still around, and then people will be like, oh yeah, back in this day they disappeared and blah blah blah, they're not around this day, so it must be something that the generation of this time are doing. It's like, no, it's your generation that cut all the forests down. They were still around because they were just still there. And then they dwindled because they have no forest, they have no cover, they're getting shot, they're getting run over, you know, that kind of thing, right? So it's like, think about it before you speak sometimes, older people. I don't want to say boomers because people just get all caught up with like boomers of this, that, and the other. I have parents that were born in the boomer era, and they, you know, and in part, a lot of them get it. They didn't have any control over this, that, or the other as much as we do. And now we're getting into a point of self-sovereignty. So, you know, let's not judge and criticize, but let's not let people believe in their own silly little things as well. But the Five of Swords is like competition. I win, you lose. Like, let's get out of that, right? Let's get out of that energy of like, I'm not happy where I am as a, let's say, Gen Z person, which I'm not, but Gen Z, I'm going to blame the boomers, right? That's not going to help anything. That's a win-lose type situation, which to me is just a lose-lose. How do we get out of this, like, I'm right, you're wrong kind of mentality? Because that's just going to shift your Wheel of Fortune to a shittier timeline, basically. So you're the one in control of this. If you don't like that, then you want to look at that. You want to look at why you don't like that. Ooh, Ace of Cups coming out. Nice. New experiences, more emotional fulfillment. That could be where your passion can be going into. Emotional fulfillment, joy, that kind of thing. Got the Four of Swords as well. I don't really see too much with this, but it's like giving yourself time and space to really consider this message and what's being said, because I'm sure some of it has already triggered you in some way, and maybe some people have already switched off this reading because they don't like it. And that's fine, right? This is not for everybody, and if you can't kind of like see the benefit in some of the messages, then you're better off not listening to it because it's going to keep hitting you. My intention for this reading isn't to upset you or piss you off or anything like that. It's more to just engage with like how life is progressing in a way, and is it really in a way that's supporting your, you know, what you want out of this existence. And if it's not, sitting down and complaining about it ain't gonna help. Do the work. You've got the Eight of Pentacles coming through, which is like, make the changes you want to see. You can see here, while it's a wasp, which can kind of be like a red flag, right? Or a fearful thing, especially as a human, we don't want to fuck with these because they're going to sting us. But really, you can see here, they're not really trying to live for the fight. They're really trying to create a hive and grow their grubs, right? They want more. I don't know. They want to continue with the evolution and transformation, right? Basically, they want to keep going with life. And so I wouldn't say that you need to just keep going with life, but are you creating something that is actually bringing you joy and peace and happiness in life? And if not, why are you doing it? Look at that as well, because your whole reading is about taking this beautiful ruby and the energy of the ruby to build new foundations, to heal heart, and to put passion into your life, whether that's through career, whether that's through hobbies, whether that's through family. You know, it's up to you. It's not up to whatever some parent says or some asshole on the internet says, right? It's really like what you want and what you feel is important to you individually. Give yourself some time to think about this, right? This isn't about like, I know what it is, it's this. It's like, if that's true, great. But give yourself some space to breathe with this. The little hedgehog's like, I'm just going to chill for a moment so I can sit and be with this energy. This energy is purely meant to help you succeed in whatever that is that you want to succeed in. So I really hope that helps. I don't really have anything else to say. You had a super interesting reading coming through. Don't let the past control you. You're like very skilled, I would say, in some ways. You just don't know it. That's why I'm like, are you a 2? I get it as well, being a 2 profile in human design. You can search human design and find a place where you can get a chart. You just need to know your birth date and all that kind of stuff, and then you can go on a deep dive into that if you really want to. I wouldn't suggest it so much. It's not that important. It's just like something interesting to look into, and you know, if you get caught up in it, don't let it become like, oh, this is who I am. It's not. None of these birth charts of any kind or life path numbers or anything is supposed to tell you who you are. It's supposed to help you figure out what's important to you and your passions, and like, you know, figure out what you want out of this existence in this incarnation, because you're so much more than this anyway. But it's nice to get some hints and tips on how to maneuver through this life in this body and this the particular portion of your soul. Okay, dokie. Excuse me. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today, Pile 2. I thought I was going to do a really short reading with all these readings, but they really haven't gone short. They've gone very, very long. But I hope at least it's informative and helpful. But with that, take care of yourself, look after yourself, and I'll see you next time. Hello, hello. Welcome to your reading, Pile 3. All right. I thought these readings would go really quick. I was like, I'm going to make sure I get the message out and finish, but this has been one of the longest readings I've ever done. So I don't know. These things happen, right? A couple of things before we start off with your reading. Remember, this is about sovereignty, standing in your power, also taking control in your life, right? Well, it's interesting because there's 2 songs that popped up. One was the Spice Girls' Spice Up Your Life, which I don't know why that popped. I haven't listened to them in ages, but I was a fan when I was like, I don't know, 8, something like that, when I was like a little kid. And the second song was like that song. It's an older song, and I don't really know what it's called, but it was like, she's a lady. Whoa, 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 she's a lady. Do you know that song? And it's like, that lady is mine. I don't know. I'm not a singer. Look, you're not here for that. But those were the songs that were popping up while I was shuffling your cards, and I was actually kind of grooving to them. Anywho, don't know why that needs to come through, because that has really nothing that I can feel to do with this crystal, right? I've chosen black obsidian. I actually do have a piece of black obsidian here. Kind of similar. I used to have stuff like this because I lived in New Zealand. There was a lot of like old volcanic kind of debris around. Like even where I used to live, there was like a huge volcano from way back in the day, and it just blew its whole ass out. And so there was scattered rocks everywhere. And I'm not just talking about like, oh yeah, a couple of meters. I mean like kilometers and kilometers and kilometers away. It's like hundreds of kilometers away. Like, you know, it was a crazy event. And I think that's when the Romans could see the smoke that actually came from that explosion. Like it was literally went around the world a bit. So it's quite a big explosion. it's now where there's a huge lake, so it was what's called an andesite volcano. And I won't get into a history lesson because that's probably why my readings are going too long. But anyway, you've got protection, healing, and truth. I love that truth came out when it's like we're talking about sovereignty, because the truth has to come out. We have to like honor our truth, honor the facts that we've done stuff in the past, had stuff done to us that we may or may not like, right? Shit's happened. So we have to see that as truth, and as soon as we start to look at it, we can remove it. We can claim what was true and our sovereignty back through transforming that energy, basically. So this is where this is kind of coming through. We've got the earth element and the root chakra, both very close, right? Very like grounded energies. When we connect to the earth, we connect through our root chakra. We are literally connecting to the earth, which is the thing that is below our feet. And we've got this beautiful black obsidian. It says when to use it. It says in crowded spaces and situations at work as a gem. I used to have this as a kid and I never really believed in crystals or anything like that, but I didn't even know about it because I was just a country bumpkin back then. And I'm probably still that at heart in some way. But anyway, you know, I had this as a kid and I used to look at it and it used to just make me feel like the rest of the world had fucked off pretty much in the nicest way, or like there was just nothing else around. I wasn't being annoyed by a parent or by a bully or anything like that. Was just like with myself. I could just be by myself. And I'm so glad that I was lucky enough to have my own room, because we didn't have lots of other siblings or anything. My parents decided to stop it too, which was smart. No more. But anywho, it's just like, it's that energy, like that nice energy in my mind of being able to find a space where you can just breathe and you don't have to worry about it. So when it says in crowds, perfect example. Doesn't have to be an actual crowd, but just like that getting away from the world type escape energy. So maybe you're going to need to give yourself permission to breathe in this reading. I don't know what Spice Up Your Life and She's a Lady really has to do with anything. I don't know the lyrics to She's a Lady exactly, but I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. Spice Up Your Life, I kind of know that song because I was a Spice Girl fan back in the day. But yeah. What does Spice Up Your Life really talk about? It's literally in the lyrics, right? It's about adding some extra flair and flavor into life by doing something that's fun. If you're having no fun in life, how can you bring some joy and pleasure into your life? Let's see what comes through in the actual cards though. It says, oh, I like this. This is the friendship portion of this poem or this story. And it says here, in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning. And like I said with adding spice, right? When we add spice to, this is maybe why the Spice Girls came up. But anyway, it's when we add like a little bit of flavoring into food, right? You can see that with like Indian food and stuff like that, or like South American food and stuff like that. You know, like no offense to like British food, but like salt and pepper is not the only spices in the world. You know, like you know, with Indian and kind of food, like they're using very staple kind of foods, right? Dal, like what do you call it in English? I've forgotten the word. Dal. I can only think of dal right now. Is it lentils? Yeah, lentils. Like lentils or like split peas and stuff like that. Like very kind of like meals or like food that we see is pretty basic, right? But adding it, way of cooking it, that kind of thing can transform a dish into something quite amazing, right? So that's where this is coming through. And while it's talking about in the dew of little things, we find the heart finds its morning. It's like we can do little things for ourselves that can bring us like nice, sweet joys. When we wake up and we say something nice about ourselves, or we have like an affirmation in the morning, it can just give us like a little bit of boost and vibe for the day, instead of being like, oh, the alarm went off, you know, have to go to work, and you're already kind of in a half dazed sleep state. But yeah, this is like friendship. You know, even it could be inviting people you haven't had a nice coffee with and just giving yourself the okay to have a day off. In this day and age, it is kind of wild because usually both parents are working, and so if you have like one child or even two, like that's a lot of time and energy, right? So if you're both working, it's really hard to find the time to do everything and also look after ourselves. But we have to look after ourselves. We have to make time for ourselves. Otherwise, we are kind of like, you know, we're worried about AI. We're literally turning into robots by just becoming machines of cause and effect. So we don't want to be that. We're humans. We're like supposed to be crazy and shit. And we definitely are. If you watch the news, we are kind of crazy. So, you know, we want to add like a little bit of flavor into life. It's not about making huge transformative things that are going to be like disruptive to your whole existence and be like, see, it didn't work. No. This is adding spice and trying something a little different. And as it evolves and as you add different flavors, you find what you like and don't like, you can create like a beautiful dish, right? Maybe it's getting close to dinner time. I keep thinking of food. Says stop breaking agreements. Oh, you're being called out a little bit. So I was about that. But maybe you need to. Stop breaking agreements is kind of like, I'm going to agree to do this for myself or go to the gym or that kind of thing because that's my time for me. And it's like, you know, she's she's calling you out. So I'm not really sorry. I mean, there's nothing else to really say about that besides what it is, right? Oh, pretty. You also have practice positivity. Like I said, sometimes those little affirmations, I know they sound a little bit cheesy sometimes, but do it anyway. Usually I would say if you don't believe it, don't bother trying to do it or work looking at it, but maybe you need that. Maybe you need the like step, adding a little bit of flavor here. Practice positivity. It kind of feels like fun, right? This is looking more fun than this like blinded person who just keeps doing things, living their life for, I don't know, what is that? It feels robotic and I don't love it. Unless you love being a robot, then how did you find time to do this? You may as well go back to work or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'll just keep going. Yeah, lacking fulfillment. You've got the Guardian with the empty cup, nature, discontent, neglect. What are you neglecting? Who's filling your cup? Because it's not about someone else should be filling your cup. You fill your own cup and people around you help you do that, right? Basically, while you're also helping them, etc., etc. But if you're helping your child's cup be filled and constantly topped up, and your partners or anything like that, where are you filling your own cup or where are you asking for assistance or help? Don't be afraid of asking for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of mental growth, I would say. And it also shows a good, what do you call it? It shows your boundaries, right? It shows boundaries and it also shows a good example to the people around you that you are empowered enough to be able to ask for assistance when you need it. This is like why this came through. It's like, give me a break. Give yourself a break. Tell people to fuck off if you need to. I mean, in a nice way. Don't say it like that. Unless they need to be told. But like, you know, have the proper conversations, adult conversations with the people that are important, right? And the people that are just annoying, I don't know, like if a neighbor keeps coming over and, you know, if you've watched Friday Night Dinners and that guy keeps coming over with his dog and he's like really annoying, tell him to fuck off. Like, you know what I mean? You don't owe him anything. And if it just keeps happening and you've already said it, like, establish your boundary very clearly. Maybe they'll just leave you alone. It's probably better anyway. You got Starseed, Fire Arrow, Multidimensional Vision, and Star Child, Fire Arrow, Multidimensional Vision, and Starseed. Interesting one. You're here for a purpose. You came here for a purpose, and it wasn't just this, that, or the other. I feel like you might be going through some kind of shifting and awakening. So sovereignty might feel a little bit tricky at the moment. That's okay, right? Take your time with this. When I talk about awakening, it's just like waking up to more parts of ourselves and how we belong in this world. What you've done is going to be helpful for whatever you're going to be doing in the future. But if you're looking at certain changes you want to make in your workplace, in your home life, anywhere within your own self-love, self-care practices, starting to put boundaries in place, even towards yourself, right? It's so you don't break commitments to yourself, basically. All right, what a fun reading. Oh, the King of Swords coming through. Very logical. Yeah, the King of Swords is very logical. There's lots of puppies in the background, which makes me think of Dreamy. But the King of Swords is also very intelligent, right? So sometimes intelligence is funny because you can see very intelligent people, and when they get bored, they start to go outside of the law or outside of the boundaries of things sometimes because they're just bored. If you're getting bored with certain things or discontent, or seeing that happen in your relationships or life, right? Start to question it, start to talk to the people that you need to talk to. If it's a relationship, the people involved, your partner, right? Whatever it is, get in it, get amongst it. Whatever you're doing at the moment, if it's really honestly fulfilling you, then perfect. See where certain things need to be touched up or anything, but the reading is really coming through with like some deep like need for a fulfilling something, and you have to figure that out for yourself. Here's the empowerment, right? This is empowerment by having clear boundaries, having like you look after you as well as doing what you need to do as well. But the shifts and changes aren't impossible. Stop telling yourself that if you are, because it's really just delaying your growth. Got the Seven of Wands. You can see here this. It kind of looks like the crocodile's guarding this goat. I don't know if it's because the goat is going to get eaten by this crocodile and these ones are like wanting a piece, right? I'm not too sure. Or alligator or whatever animal this is, like one of those two, right? But yeah, it's an interesting one. Traditionally, it's the person who's on the high ground and realizes they're on the high ground and is not budging to be put back into their place. And you definitely don't need to be put in your place. If anyone needs to be put in their place, it's just like the ideas or the ego of self that is telling you to conform, basically. You're way too smart for that. Ooh, King of Pentacles. I think you've succeeded in something in your life purpose. It feels like you've accomplished something that was part of your goals for coming to this planet and coming to this earth. And so now it's like, now's the shift and you're like, oh, but this has been working for so long. But how are you feeling about it, right? Tell me about it. Like, tell yourself about it, not me. I mean, you can tell me in the comments, but like, you know, this isn't really about me. This is about you and you. Like your current self and where you want to see parts of your future self. And whatever way that is, it's really not about me telling you what that is. Could be you having another child, could be you having a new job, could be you like ultimately buying a house or something like that, right? It doesn't have to be this, that, or the other, or it could be just like completely dropping this and doing yoga or something. I don't know, whatever it is. It's really up to you, but I feel like you've succeeded in part of your human experience life. It's like you've completed a contract in your human experience. Don't worry about this, stop breaking agreements. I think that's fine. It's just like, you're just going through a phase of change. And so that's why this is coming through. It's like, now is the time to finish that. It's not really breaking a contract. It's just like, I've finished with this portion of my life. Now I'm, you know, evolving or growing into whatever's next. Who knows what you succeeded in, but it's good. Because the King of Pentacles is someone who has everything they need to proceed further and fund or do, give energy, time, money towards a particular project that they want to begin. Yeah, look, Star Child right next to the Six of Wands. You've achieved something. You've achieved and grown in a way and got the skills in some form. So while this is talking about like adding a lot of stuff in, it might seem a little bit heavy or like a little bit, it's not really heavy. It's just like prod, right? These are showing you've been successful in something. The Six of Wands is like on a pedestal, and here you put up higher, right? You're on the high ground. You're being recognized and seen, and maybe you've seen that within yourself, and so now it's time to roll with that part of you, because you've finished with whatever this is. I don't know what it is, but you've completed a task. It's like in a video game, you've passed a level and now it's on to the next level. You've got all the achievements from the first level. You don't need to keep replaying the first level anymore. Ooh, the Nine of Cups. Very nice. Speaking of authenticity, the Peacock to me is a huge promoter of authenticity. The Nine of Cups is about dreams coming true. You've succeeded at something and you've gained a particular skill. I don't know what you've done. You might have like told like a horrible ex or a parent to go fuck themselves or something like that, right? In a nice way or not nice way, but whatever it was, it evolved into self-care, not letting yourself go through those old processes. So you're at an opportune time to begin a new cycle is how it's coming through. I love that. I really want this to be my pile now, but I don't think it is. But I'm like, I'll take that. Anyway. Oh, wow. And then you've got the Ten of Cups, yeah. I mean, look at that. Maybe this is where She's a Lady comes through. Well, I don't really have too much else to say about that. The Ten of Cups is about dreams coming true. You know, this is about wish fulfillment. This is like happily ever after type thing. And happily ever after isn't the end. It's more like the end of a cycle that you have completed successfully, right? You might have gone through it in some tough way at some points, and maybe in ways that really helped you benefit from or learn from, like, oh, if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't realize how important my self-worth is or valuing my opinion is, because you've had a situation, long-term, short-term, or just a one-off event that was like very clearly someone coming in to teach that lesson, and I don't know, maybe they were just being an asshole or something, or belittled you, right? I still remember one person, not to me, but to my partner. This is such a long time ago, but they asked who he was, and then they were like, oh, so you're not important type thing because of his name, because he wasn't like, I don't know, this, that, or the other. And I was like, oh, hell no, but I wasn't really, this wasn't like my event or anything, because I would have started like getting in there, right? But probably best I didn't, and I didn't hear it because I only heard it afterwards, and I just kind of like was in a more chill position, was like, but who cares? Like, why would you take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from? So why would you take this kind of rude attitude from someone who doesn't really matter, right? And we've never seen them again, so who really cares? But you know, that kind of thing just kind of is like a good reminder of like, oh yeah, while that really hurt or triggered or just was like super rude, that wasn't about me, right? That was their own issues and stuff. And so yeah, at the time, because I was, you know, younger and had a few drinks under me, I'm glad I didn't hear it, because I probably would have slapped a hoe. But yeah, no slapping hoes. Anyway, very interesting reading, very nice. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I don't really have too much else to say, but just add some spice, add some vibe and life, and celebrate you, because you deserve it. You've worked your ass off, right? You've done the goods, and you're starting a new cycle. So I don't know if this is really like an empowerment kind of like reading or anything like that, but you know, there's a lot here to be proud of and that you've overcome. So, you know, just take that with what you will. All right. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.